Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to another Calgary Stampeders game day video post. We're in the last week of the regular season for 2023, week 21, on Friday, October the 27th. The Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to wrap up the 2023 regular season, and guess what? We are actually going to the playoffs. As surreal as that sounds and crazy as it sounds, the Calgary Stampeders are actually going to the playoffs, as they won the last two games and got help from the Toronto Argonauts last week when they defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So Calgary, with a 6-11 record coming in, are going to be in the playoffs. They will be taking on the BC Lions next week on Saturday, November 4th in BC for the West semifinal. Final business with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I'm anticipating this game is going to likely be a glorified preseason game, as both teams don't have much to play for. I mean, Calgary's going to be resting Reggie, Begelton, Cam Judge, as well as Ka'Deem Carey for a few of our key players. I mean, Jake Maier is going to start, but probably going to see Tommy Stevens in the second half. Winnipeg, I think they're still tending to start Zach Collaros and I think Brady Oliveira. I haven't seen their depth chart coming in this game, but I'm sure we're going to see Drew Brown. So I'm thinking in the second half, both teams will probably have their backups in, and both teams are probably not going to play too crazy, not reveal too much. In the event, let's say, if the Calgary Stampeders pull off an upset and potentially meet the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the West Final. The West Final will be on Saturday, November the 11th at IG Field. They either will be taking on the BC Lions or the Calgary Stampeders. But I'm going to say for this game, I'm just saying it's surreal that we did make the playoffs. Well, I guess we did win the games when it mattered the most. So there's not really much I can really hype up this game as much as possible. It's just the final tune-up for the regular season. I mean, looking at the rest of the CFL playoff bracket, well, we've known since August pretty much that the Toronto Argonauts are going to host the East Final, and the Montreal Alouettes will be hosting the Hamilton Tiger-Cats in the East semifinal before the West semifinal next Saturday. So pretty much we have the same six teams making the playoffs this year as they did last year, with the same matchups. I think the only difference is that Montreal is hosting Hamilton this year as opposed to the other way around. So that's all I have for this Calgary Stampeders game day post. There'll be one more released next week when we'll talk about the Calgary Stampeders and the BC Lions, as they'll be in BC for the West semifinal. Calgary did beat the BC Lions 41-16 last week for the big running game that got going. So maybe that could be some fuel to think how we could beat the BC Lions in the playoffs. But I'm going to say we're in the playoffs. That's all I got to say. We're either going to be 6-12 or 7-11, which I'm going to say is the weakest record the Calgary Stampeders have had to make the playoffs since 2007, when we were 7-10-1 that season, and we're going to Saskatchewan for the West semifinal that year. Maybe if this team goes on our 2001 Lake run, maybe we'll pull off an upset and win the Grey Cup. I can only dream. So close out to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like and subscribe, and all my other social media links are down in the description below. Just the final tune-up for the playoffs. Yes, the 18th straight season, the Calgary Stampeders going to the playoffs. Just try to stay healthy and not do anything crazy, and we'll see you next week when I'll be hyping up the playoffs, and I plan to be back with the on the road to the Grey Cup videos. Hopefully this year I don't get sick and get to do all 5 games this year. So I'll see you then.